It's this logo again. Does this mean that Mega is about to do what this normally means? Well, personally, if you ask me at least, I would say the answer to that question is no. However, because of the subject matter that I'm going to talk about, finally, in this video, now that it's seemingly over, although I feel like it's not really over, because this kind of shit is never over, and that gives you an indication of how I have to approach this video and handle this topic and just kind of handle all of this in its entirety, really. But obviously, we have to get this out of the way. The following video contains strong and foul language and covers and is a discussion of a very clearly touchy and controversial topic. So if you don't like foul language, if you don't like strong language, if you don't like controversy, if you don't like controversial topics, if you don't like controversial opinions, I would suggest you leave now and you go watch someone who's clearly better at this than me, who's going to hold your little baby hand, pat you on the head, say, "Oh, everything's gonna be okay," and then proceed to lie to you. As for me, as for what I like to do, yeah, I think I'm good. I call it how I see it. I speak my mind. I speak how I feel. And I speak the truth as I personally see it. Because nobody wants to speak the truth anymore. Although I probably shouldn't say that. Let's put it this way instead. Most people don't want to speak the truth anymore. Because nobody can seem to be able to handle the truth. And I don't know why that is. I wish I did. Nobody seems to be able to like when I speak my mind, and speak how I feel, and speak the truth as I see it. Because they can't handle it, and they decide to act like a child and have a temper tantrum instead. Because when it comes to situations like this, is this really gonna do any good? Well, let's be brutally honest here. No, it's not. And even doing this is not really gonna make me feel any better. But since everyone and their goddamn mother seems to want to put shit out about this and give their little quote-unquote 2 cents and state how they feel, I guess it's finally time for me to speak on this. Hey, I'm just doing the same thing everyone else is. Don't point at me. You're gonna point at me, but, you know, whatever. But nobody wants to speak the truth anymore. Because people don't want to hear the truth. And people instead are going to dig themselves in a 60-foot hole that they're never going to come out of, and then proceed to act like a 5-year-old child, cup their hands over their ears, and scream la 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 when you try to talk to them. Do you see where this is going already? That's why you probably should have already stopped watching. So in case for whatever reason you have been living under the rock or haven't been following news for the last 2 years, God, just the fact that it has taken this fucking long for this shit to finally be over is a fucking disgrace, and it's fucking pathetic. But again, I'm the asshole here. Absolutely. So if for whatever reason you don't know what's been going on for the last couple of years, Microsoft has been trying to get their acquisition of Activision Blizzard King, ABK for short, through. And lo and behold, what happened today? Oh yeah, this. That's right, Mega's about to finally reveal his stance on this. But here's the thing, and here's what it comes down to with this situation. And I may not actually end up going on for as long as I think I might, or originally assumed I might. Who knows? I guess we're about to find out. Here's the thing when it comes to this situation, and this is brutal honesty. So from this moment on, this is just Mega speaking for Mega and Mega alone. I hate that I'm talking about myself in the third person. But the point is, from this moment on, this is just how I personally feel about this, and what my personal opinion about this is. And at the end of the day, everyone's opinion about this is clearly going to be different. And I have just as much of a right to have my opinion on this as you have just as much of a right to have your opinion on this, and how everyone else has just as much of a right to have their opinion on this. But nobody wants to, respect that. I mean, we all saw that meme that I had an image of that I probably should have brought up in this instance, but oh well, too late now. The meme that I had before when I went off about Balan Wonderworld. Nobody cares about opinions. They want to hear their opinion coming out of your mouth. So, there you go. But like I said, this is just my personal stance and feelings and opinion on this. And I have just as much of a right to have my opinion on this that everyone else has. But here's the thing about this, and this is brutal honesty. So from this moment on, it's me speaking how I feel about this, and me speaking brutal honesty. A part of me does not give a fuck about this. A part of me really doesn't. Because I really don't care, honestly. Because none of these franchises, IPs, whatever you want to call them, are things I care about. They aren't. They're well-known franchises, and some of them are very successful, particularly this one. But none of them are particularly franchises I care about or play at all in any way whatsoever, and I really don't care about every single last one of them. Hey, I timed that pretty well. The point is, I don't care about any of these franchises. I don't, and that's just me. If you care about these franchises, I'm glad that you care about these franchises. If you are fans of these franchises, I'm glad you're fans of these franchises. I'm just personally not. But a part of me does not give a fuck about this, and clearly it doesn't matter, because this is now officially done. It's finally done and over with after 2 years. And honestly, let's all say thank the fuck God. But is it really over? I kind of feel like it's not, but there are reports, or I saw a report, I don't know how true it is, so I can't really definitively say if this is accurate or not, so just take this however you want, but there are reports that now there's already background discussions going on between the Competition Market Authority from the UK, which is pretty much the final barricade for this now, and Xbox, where they're having secret background discussions. Apparently, reportedly. I don't know if this is true or not. You can correct me if I'm wrong, because believe it or not, despite what literally most people seem to think, I'm actually going to listen to what other people have to say. I'll listen to what you have to say, but that doesn't mean I'm going to agree with you or think the same way that I do. I'll listen to what you have to say and I'll go like, yeah, that makes sense, that's fair. But then the next sentence I'll say, I still disagree with you. I'll listen to what other people have to say, but at the end of the day, I'm still going to feel the way that I'm going to feel in all likelihood, because nobody else is going to change their stance. That's been also made abundantly clear, so why should I? Why should I change my stance when literally nobody else will? But the point is, I don't really care about any of these franchises, and I don't really care about this, But I swear to fucking God, some of this shit that has come out from this situation, is that even the best way to put it? Sure, let's go with that. Some of the shit that's come out from this situation is downright bullshit. It is. Like, again, let's be brutally honest here. It really fucking is. It's bullshit. And some of it is just pathetic. It really is. And at the end of the day, we're gonna find out where this is going to go and where this is heading. And the only thing I can really say about that is this is either going to go very badly or this is going to not matter in the slightest. And time will tell at the end of the day. But a part of me doesn't give a fuck about this because I don't care about any of these franchises. But a part of me hates this bullshit that came out from all the details from the trial. And I don't care who you are or what you think or what your stance is on this. If you honestly think that one of these companies, Xbox or PlayStation for that matter, if you honestly think one of these companies is more innocent than the other, then you have blinders on. And that's it. End of story. You have blinders on, and you're only going to see one way, and you're not going to see literally any other way. Whether you prefer Sony and PlayStation, or whether you prefer Microsoft and Xbox, or even if you prefer Nintendo and Switch, or whatever the console that they have out currently is. No matter who you are, no matter what your preference is, if you honestly think one of these companies is more innocent than the other, you have fucking blinders on, and you're never going to see anything else. Another way you could put it is tunnel vision, or whatever metaphor you want to use. But if you honestly think one company is more innocent than the other, then you have blinders on. Do you remember? Well, actually, I don't actually think I've spoken about this, but each situation is different. I may actually, yeah, sorry, I'm trying to remember things and I'm kind of going all over the place for that, so I apologize. Because I hate doing something like this, and I honestly don't want to, and it's not going to do any fucking good, let's be honest. But when I went off and did my shoot, I guess, if you want to refer to it like that, on Balan Wonderworld, I said that situation was a two-way street when it comes to blame. You have to blame Square Enix and you have to blame Yuji Naka. And every situation is different. Sometimes, yes, blame is one direction and one direction only. But in most cases, 9 times out of 10, or maybe it's safer to say 8 times out of 10, in most cases, blame is a two-way street. You can't point in one direction and one direction alone and say, yep, that's where the fault lies. No, there's more information and more to it than just that. Even the Helier Taylor situation with the Bayonetta voice actor situation that happened last year, I think it was, that blame was a two-way street. The blame was with voice actors being underpaid, and the blame was with Helier Taylor for being a fucking liar. The blame with Balan Wonderworld is a two-way street, where you point the blame towards Yuji Naka, and you also point the blame towards Square Enix. This situation is the exact same situation. It is. I don't care what you say, Neither one of these companies is more innocent than the other. They aren't. And if you think one of the companies is more innocent than the other, then you have blinders on and you shouldn't be watching this video. Because clearly, you're going to think that one specific way, and you're not going to see any other perspective or think any differently. But neither one of these companies is more innocent than the other. Because, in all brutal honesty, when this situation first happened and first started happening and was first going on, in all brutal honesty, PlayStation and Sony and Jim Ryan, yes, they all looked like whiny fucking babies. They did. That's just brutal honesty. They looked like whiny fucking babies. And even to this day, I still honestly feel like they are acting like whiny fucking babies. Because there was a report last year, and again, I don't know how true this is, okay? You can take anything I say however you want, or with a grain of salt, or however you want to put it. But there were literal reports last year that stated that the reason Sony and PlayStation did not do a PlayStation showcase in the entire year of 2022 was because they wanted to, quote-unquote, look weak in this Activision Blizzard Xbox situation. There were literal reports of this. And I can definitely see that. And it definitely appears that way. Is that actually the case? I don't fucking know. I'm not an expert. I don't know how many times I have already made that abundantly clear and obvious. I'm not an expert. Nobody talking about this is a fucking expert. Nobody. I'm just like everyone else, and I'm not going to deny it. That's why I don't want to, honestly, do this, and didn't want to do this, but everybody else does, so, why the fuck not? I'm not an expert on this either. So is that true? I don't know, but I can definitely see that being the case. Hell, look at the PlayStation Showcase Sony put out in May. Look at it. Can you honestly say that some of the reasoning why they put out the showcase that they did back in May of this year, that there wasn't at least some of the reasoning for it was because they still wanted to look weak, as I continue to do that in air quotes, even though you can't see me, because of this Activision Blizzard stuff? Yeah, I can absolutely see it, and I absolutely see that being the case. Is that the case? I don't fucking know. Maybe. Maybe not. They looked like whiny fucking babies. They did. And even to this day still, they look like whiny fucking babies. One of the emails that was released during this trial was that Jim Ryan said that the entire motive behind blocking the deal, the Activision Microsoft deal, wasn't because of Call of Duty exclusivity. That was literally one of the emails that came out from this trial. But guess what? I'm not Sony bashing here. Because like I just literally stated, nobody is fucking innocent here. Because do you know what else came out from this trials? What another email that came out stated? Oh, that's right. I can't remember. Oh, that's right. One of the other emails that came out from this situation was that Microsoft, a couple of their wonderful top of the food chain employees, stated in an email that they wanted to, quote-unquote, spend Sony out of business. Let me repeat what I stated before. Nobody is fucking innocent here. If you want to argue shit, go right ahead. Doesn't mean I'm gonna read it. If you want to argue something, that's fine. I want you to explain to me how Xbox and Microsoft wanting to spend Sony out of business is not an example of a monopoly. I'll wait. You got anything for me or no? Yeah, I didn't think so. So that's clearly an example of a monopoly. Clearly. And you do not see Sony stating in fucking emails, or at least ones that we know of, or one has not come out yet, unless one has come out within the past couple hours. I don't know, maybe one has. Anything's possible, I suppose. But you don't see Sony plotting like evil masterminds, petting their white cat on their lap, or whatever metaphor you want to use, laughing evilly about how to put their competition out of business. Does Sony want to put Microsoft out of business? Of course they do. Everyone wants to put their competition out of business. But you don't see them talking about it in emails now, do ya? Do ya? So, is this not an example of a fucking monopoly? And what's to stop them now? Explain to me what exactly is stopping Xbox and Microsoft from going through with this absolutely real strategy. I don't give a fuck what they say if it's years old. It's absolutely your strategy. You really think they're gonna just stop with this? Do you? They had lists of companies they were going to buy. Sega was one of them. Square Enix was another one. I'm sure Sony has their own list, too. Do you really think they're gonna stop at just Activision Blizzard, do you? Do you Xbox biased people honestly think that? Because I've seen no evidence to suggest it, and there's no evidence to suggest that they won't stop. But you could also say there's no evidence to suggest that they will stop. And do you want to know what's gonna happen? Sony's gonna respond. There's no doubt in my mind that Sony is going to fucking respond with an acquisition of their own. And what is it? What will it be? I have a guess. I have a very strong guess and a very strong feeling of what it will be. Is it going to happen? I don't know. I'm not even saying I want it to happen or that it will happen, but it's the most likely candidate. And I didn't bring it up, but, you know, I'm so organized. We'll do it live. Why not? Because, I'm good at doing stuff like that and, being prepared. Look, I don't have a preference, I don't. But let me explain something to you. I have two consoles. Technically. A PlayStation 4 and a PlayStation 5. And a Nintendo Switch. That's all the consoles I have. Because I don't feel like I have a gaming quality PC, even though I was forced to buy a new laptop this year. I still don't think I have one of those. But I prefer playing my games on a console because I just don't think I have a gaming quality computer or laptop. So my two main consoles, in case it wasn't fucking obvious already, is PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch. Those are my two main consoles. Of course, that's where the Xbox fans come in and say, "You're a Sony Pony!" You want to accuse me of being a Sony Pony? Have at it. That gives me the right to call you an Xbot. Do you want to know why I don't have an Xbox console and have not bought a single Xbox console in my entire gaming life? It's because nothing on the Xbox console intrigues or interests me in any way whatsoever. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. And that's because most of the games and most of the genre on the Xbox platform and on the Xbox console is FPS games. That's not frames per second, that's first-person shooter. I don't know what game this is from. The thing up here says Titanfall 2. That could be it. I don't know if that is it, but it's what came up when I searched FPS game in Google Images. That's because most of the genre and most of the games on the Xbox console are FPS games. And I don't like and I don't play FPS games. I'm sorry, I just don't. I don't like them, I don't play them, and I don't see the appeal in them. I just don't. I'm sorry. If you like FPS games, I'm glad you like FPS games, okay? I do. Everyone has their preferences at the end of the day, and that's it. We all play video games. Is that not the point? But for me personally, I don't like FPS games, and I don't like shooting games. I just don't. I'm sorry. I don't see the appeal in them. So I'm sorry. I don't care about Fable, and I don't care about Avowed, and I didn't care about most of that other stuff that was shown in the Xbox showcase. But guess what? Do you recall from what I stated from one of my last videos? I stated that the Xbox showcase was fine. And technically you could say it was better than the PlayStation showcase in many different areas. And I even said that the PlayStation showcase was bad and they shouldn't have put out the showcase that they did. But I just don't like FPS games, okay? I don't. I never have, and I probably never will. And that's just it, and that's just my personal preference, because I don't see the appeal in them. But like I just said, that's just literally only me. If you like FPS games, I'm glad you like FPS games. You know what my main genre is? It's role-playing games. Or I guess you could probably say it's Japanese role-playing games. The Personas, the Final Fantasies, the Kingdom Hearts, the Trails, the Tales of, etc., etc. I could go on for 20 more minutes. My main genre is role-playing games and platformers and visual novels sometimes. And sometimes other games that are kind of cutesy, like the Oris. Even though I don't think I'm very good at Metroidvanias. The point is, FPS games are just not for me. Just like Zelda games are not for me. Everyone has their own preference at the end of the day. But that's why I don't have an Xbox console, and why I will likely never have an Xbox console, because nothing on the platform interests me. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. And yes, there are other games on the Xbox console. You don't have to tell me that. I'm very well aware of that. But most of that, guess what? It's on all the other consoles too. Your Nintendo Switches and your PlayStations. So I'll play it on my PlayStation or my Nintendo Switch. I have seen nothing to warrant me to get an Xbox console, and in all likelihood, I never will. That's just me, and that's just my personal preference. And my personal preference is my personal preference, and your personal preference is your personal preference, and everyone's personal preference is their personal preference. But that's why I don't have an Xbox console. Most of my stuff is third-party stuff. I'm not going to deny that. The Atlas, the NIS Americas, the Spike Chunsofts, the Capcoms. You could even throw in Square Enix, technically. Since Live Alive is available on Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4, and Octopath Traveler 2 is available on Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Most of the games I play are third-party games. I don't play a lot of first-party games. I don't play a lot of first-party PlayStation games. I don't play God of War. I don't play Horizon. I don't play Spider-Man. Because it's not stuff that interests me. But there you go. That's why I don't have an Xbox console. But if you want to accuse me of being a Sony pony, you go ahead and do that. Have fun with those blinders on that you have on. So, we have no clue where this is going to go now. Who's to say Xbox doesn't try to buy Sega? Who's to say Xbox doesn't try to buy Square Enix? Or Capcom, or any of those other companies that were on their list? Who's to say PlayStation won't do that? Here's the thing, though, when it comes to PlayStation. Even though their showcase was bad, one of the games that they showed off in a CGI trailer, great job there, from Bungie, was Marathon. Bungie, PlayStation acquired. Bungie is putting Marathon on PlayStation and Xbox. Yeah, that's not, unbiased. Gee, it's almost as if Bungie was acquired by PlayStation, but they're still putting it on other platforms. But they were acquired by PlayStation. Wow. I'm not even saying that Xbox or Activision will put Spyro or Crash exclusively on Xbox, but it's a possibility that I don't fucking like. Do you honestly think they're gonna put Call of Duty on PlayStation forever? The deal's only for 10 years, and 10 years is a long time. But I'm just kind of saying. Neither company is innocent here. They're not. They are not your friends. I don't know why anyone seems to think of one specific company is your friend. Because they aren't, and they never will be. All they care about is making money. That's literally all they care about. They don't care what you think. Why do you think they do? So, we all know that Sony is going to respond to this acquisition. And what are they going to respond with? Well, what I'm about to say is just my personal feeling and my personal speculation and my personal guess. So I am literally not saying this is going to happen or this will happen or I want this to happen. I'm not saying that at all in any way whatsoever. What I am saying is this is the strongest candidate and this is the strongest likelihood. This is the most likely candidate for Sony to respond. Do I want this to happen? I didn't say I wanted it to happen. Do I think this is going to happen? I didn't say I think this is going to happen. This is the most likely candidate to how Sony will respond. I'm not even saying I want it to happen. Because God only knows how Nintendo will react to this. Or Disney, for that matter. I mean, look at that last Nintendo Direct and how euphoric it was for all those Geno fans. Will this affect Square Enix's relationship with Nintendo? Not necessarily. Will this affect Square Enix constantly being dumb fucks and shilling NFTs and blockchain and Web3? Not necessarily. However, there's also a possibility that Sony will make them stop shilling Web3 blockchain or NFTs. You can't deny that. There's a possibility they'll make them stop, and there's a possibility they'll continue to do it. But if you honestly think that Sony's going to continue to allow Square Enix, if they acquire them, of continuing to have a relationship with Nintendo and not make everything Square Enix does from this moment forward, if they acquire them first party, you're fooling yourself. You're fooling yourself. They will absolutely make everything Square Enix does first party and exclusive to PlayStation. That is absolutely what they will do. And it's extremely doubtful and extremely unlikely they will allow Square Enix to collaborate with Nintendo on future situations and future collaborations like they are doing with, the Geno stuff and the Super Mario RPG remakes and all that stuff. I hope that's not the case. Seriously, do you want me to repeat that? I hope that's not the case and that's not what happens, and then let them continue working with Nintendo. But I just feel like that Sony's going to respond to this by acquiring Square Enix and making everything they do from that moment forward first party exclusive to PlayStation, and they'll stop them from doing things with Nintendo. I hope that doesn't happen, and I hope that's just me being paranoid and conspiracy theorist-like, but that's just the feeling I get in the worst possible case. I mean, if you want to put it that way, that's fine and that's fair. But that's just the fear and the feeling that I get. And I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest in any way whatsoever if this is how Sony responds to the Xbox and Microsoft acquisition of Activision. So don't be surprised if this is how they respond. Again, I'm not saying it's going to happen or it will happen or I want it to happen, but it's the strongest candidate and the strongest possibility. I don't like that this happened. There's your official mega stance from however long I've been going now. Almost 40 minutes. Of course, I've almost gone for 40 minutes. I don't like that this happened. There's my stance. Because we don't know what this is gonna mean and what Xbox will do next with their real strategy of spinning Sony out of business. I guess time will tell at the end of the day. But nobody is innocent in all of this. Nobody. Microsoft is not innocent. Sony and PlayStation are not innocent. Neither one are innocent. Neither one are fucking innocent. But there you go. There's my official stance on this. Is it over? Fuck if I know. I hope to God it is. It's been going on for 2 fucking years now. Somehow I doubt it. I don't think it's actually over. Because let's be honest, this shit is never gonna be over. Ever. But there you go. There's Mega's official stance. And I have a right to feel the way I do, just as much as you have a right to feel that you do. But guess what? Just because I feel that way doesn't mean, I have to not get over it, if that makes sense. Basically what I'm trying to say is just because I don't like that this happened doesn't mean I have to not get over it. Basically, I have to get over it, and I will. I already have. I hate talking about this. I don't want to talk about this anymore. So there you go, there's Mega's official stance. Just hit the dislike button. I'm sure that'll make you feel better. Don't know why you've been sitting through this for almost 40 minutes now anyway. The dislike button exists for a reason. But there you go. There's Mega's official stance on this. Hopefully it's over, but I seriously doubt it. It's never going to be over. Let's be honest, it's never going to be over. But there you go. There's Mega's official stance on the Microsoft Activision Blizzard King Activision acquisition. You see, I can't even talk about it correctly. Everyone has a right to have their opinion at the end of the day, but you keep those blinders on. You stay in that 60-foot hole you dug yourself in and will never come out of, and continue to act like a child as you cup your hands over your ears and scream la 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 la. You keep doing that. And I'll continue to state how I feel, state how it is, and state the truth as I see it. Nobody is fucking innocent in this. But hey, at least it's over, right? No, it's not. This is Mega Champ saying next time I'll be providing you with more unlimited guidance. I am not biased for or against Sony. I am not biased for or against Xbox. But you know, it's not like I don't take shit constantly on a daily basis, so you keep throwing that at me, and I'll keep taking it. You know what that does? It incentivizes me further. See ya.